Welcome to variables. This is something that we've already covered in previous sessions, so I'll make a point of including all the links that we've already covered in regards to this in the description of the video. So variables in Java are also known as fields, and as we had discussed earlier, fields store the state of the objects. If you missed that session, I will attach again a link in the description to learn more about these objects and fields. So sometimes you'll find that the term fields and variables are used interchangeably, but not always, and you're about to find out why. There was some code I had available from previous sessions. There's a class called Oracle2, and these are the example variables listed there, although not exactly. So this is an example of variables, or what you would call fields. This is a string, this is an int. So let me just walk you through Oracle2 a bit to show you that this is a string, it's private. This is another string, it's not private. It's what I have used in the illustration. And this is an integer, which is a field. So both of them, all of them that I've shown you so far, actually fields. Now in Java, we have different types of variables. Type 1 is instance variables. So we already again covered this when we were discussing objects earlier on. I'll attach a link in the description. Actually, there was an option to attach the link to the video, or the pop-up to the video, but I felt like that would be a distraction when it's just popping up and there's several pop-ups to come, so I'll just attach them as reference links in the description, which is, I believe, easier for your learning journey. So instance variables, these are non-static fields in a class, as we had already discussed in a previous session, which means that for every instance you create of a class, they would be unique to that instance. I had already covered this. Class variables are static fields. There's only one copy with the class, and if you work with the word final, then it makes it a constant. Again, this is things that we have covered, so this is more like a revision. Then we have local variables. They are within a method. Again, there will be a link in the description for this. So that means you can only access them within that method, and they are not referred to as fields. So again, like I said, fields is used to refer to variables, but not in all cases. It is referred to variables in the case of instance variables and static variables, but not in the case of local variables, and also not in the case of parameters, which are within the method signature. And there are other names to refer to this. We call them members. So we already also covered this. Members could be a field, a method, or a nested type, i.e. a nested class, among others. So if you hear the word members sometimes referring to a variable, that also applies. Now, although we've already seen this, there is naming conventions for variables, just to refer to what we've already discussed, or what I already covered in this session. They are case sensitive. That means if I write my variable in my variable with different cases, then they refer to different variables. So I'll just demonstrate that. So I'll go all the way back to this class at the top. If I write int my var and initialize it to 0, and I write int same, they have the same alphabets, but they are treated as different, okay, because again it's case sensitive. Now I'll just try and type my var again, and it will notify me that this is already a variable that exists, okay, in line 4. So you cannot have this, but you can have this and this, because variables are case sensitive. So this is treated, these two are treated as two separate variables. Another point to note is it can start with an underscore or a $sign, but it's generally discouraged. So it's supported but discouraged. So if you want to write int $sign me, sorry, what did I do? Int me, and then int $sign me, and initialize it to 0, or int underscore b and initialize it to 0, then that is allowed, but it is often discouraged. Now, you are encouraged to work with full words so your code can self-document. So if you're writing actual production code, instead of saying int x or string y, I've used int too much, you can just say int, say year. So it will be obvious that this int reference a year or a month or age or whatever else it is. So you're encouraged to use full words so you can have self-documenting code. However, the words cannot be a keyword or a reserved word. For example, you cannot say int int. Int is a reserved word or it is a keyword, so you cannot have those. That is the variable name. Other thing is to work with lowercase or lower camel case. So when you're naming your integers, you work with lowercase, as I already have. Your variables, you work with lowercase. String me and say 100 grade, for example. That is the naming convention, and if it's 2 words, this is how you should write it. This is called lower camel case. Okay, that's how you do it. You use lower camel case, which I've also illustrated here, lower camel case for several words. Finally, with constants, as we'd already seen, we work with static final keywords, and it's supposed to be static final string. It's supposed to be all caps lock, constant here, and it's 2 different words are separated by underscores. That's the convention. So you need to initialize it to something. There you go. That is it on variables. Feel free to look at the links in the description to learn more if you missed the previous session that I have referenced. And that's the introduction on variables. More to come still on variables and language basics. So if you're coming from an object-oriented programming language, some of these concepts you might already be familiar with, but Java does it a little bit different, if not exactly the same in with some of the languages. So see you on the next one.